Okay, now we'll discuss dependency injection. So the problem here is if you want to promote loose coupling between classes and allow dependencies to be injected from external sources. Imagine you want to do something in your class, but you need to depend on some other class to do it. Then every time when you want to do that, you will have to create an object from that class, right? Um, so if you want to do it in a maybe in multiple classes, maybe you want to do the same thing. So that common thing that you want to do in all those classes can be taken away to a different class, right? And we can obviously use that command implementation. But the thing is, every time in all the other classes that you want to use this, you will have to create objects, right? And then you will have to call that method or function or whatever that you want to call inside each of these classes. But the issue is we have to create objects every time, and that actually has some uh, memory issues, memory leaking issues, things like that. Due to the fact that you are creating objects every time you need to use that class. So that is the main problem behind dependency injection. And so to mitigate that issue, we have to define classes that have dependencies on other classes or services as constructor parameters. So all the dependencies that we are depending on are converted as services, and they are being used as constructor parameters in our class, right? And then we inject the required dependencies from external sources, typically using dependency injection, uh, using the maybe sometimes we have to use a dependency injection container, meaning that all the third party or other dependencies are contained within a separate class, but you can do that manually through code as well, right? And the other thing is allow the client code or container to provide the necessary dependencies when creating instances. Now, when we create an instance from a class, those classes should allow this other dependencies. As I said in the point before, we need to pass these dependencies as constructor parameters. So the classes that we are using, or rather trying to create objects, should allow us to pass these um, dependencies as parameters when we are trying to create an object. So as a summary, the dependency injection pattern allows you to inject dependencies into a class rather than creating them within the class. As I mentioned in the beginning, you don't have to create classes objects every time you want to use them. We are injecting the created instance through the parameters for that constructor, and we are using them as we have created them, right? But we have separated the concern of creating objects every time and using them. So so if we try to look at a example for this, imagine a chef who needs specific ingredients to cook a dish, right? So instead of growing all those ingredients in his kitchen or in his garden, he'll get all those ingredients delivered to him. He'll have to use it. He'll just have to use it. He don't know where these ingredients are grown. How what are the uh, fertilizers that are being used for this to grow these plants. Where from where are these plants from? Chef do not need to know that. Chef just gets the ingredients and he'll create whatever the dish that we ask uh, them to prepare, right? So that is some sort of a real world example for this. Okay, so let's move on to the code and see how to implement this. So we have an interface called iMessage service. This is, as you know, interfaces are like set of rules, right, or instructions for how to do things. So for the info for this in this case, this interface says how to send messages. So we'll implement or rather set up a rule um, called send message, and the this we have this method, and now it says that any class that wants to send messages must have a method called send message. So interface as I mentioned, like a set of rules or instructions. So now it has given us or say that any class that implements this interface should have send message method. In simple terms, it says that if you want to send a message, right? I mean, if your class wants to send a message, it should have a method called send message. Otherwise, you will not be able to send a message. That is the simple meaning of an interface, right? Now we'll accept a parameter called a message, which is a string parameter. So this is the message that we want to send. Now we have an email service just below. This is like a specific way of sending messages, right? So we can send messages through post or email or through SMS or text or anyway, right? Or voice messages, things like that. So this email service is responsible for sending messages as emails. So let's implement iMessage service now. So as I said, any class who wants to send message uh, should implement this send message method because we have implemented iMessage service. So here we are implementing the send message method, and we are accepting that parameter as string message, and we'll write to the console saying that we are sending an email. We are sending this message as an email, right? So now this is done. You know how to do this so far. Now what we have now is a message client. So message client is like a person who wants to send a message. But the thing is, he doesn't know how to send messages. Right? Message client is a separate class or a person somewhere in the world. He wants to send a message, but he doesn't know how to send a message. Right? Yeah. But so instead of trying to figure out how to send a message, what message client does is asking help for somebody who knows how to send messages. Right? And so in our case, the person who knows how to send messages are this person, right? Email service. Email service know how to send emails. So basically, the main person who knows or rather defines rules on how to send messages are this iMessage service. So let's introduce that iMessage interface as one of our parameters, right? And so we have now an instance or rather reference to the person who knows how to send messages. Now let's take the constructor of this class and let's inject, as I mentioned, this iMessage service or the person who knows how to send messages into this class using the constructor as constructor parameters, right? So now this is passed using the constructor. Now we'll have to say that this this message service is equal to the one that has been given through the constructor parameter, right? So uh, what we have done essentially is we have said to this message client, uh, this iMessage service knows how to send messages. Now we have passed the message service as a constructor parameter to this message client. So now you will have to understand that whenever we want to create an object from this message client, we will have to pass this message service as a parameter. So if you want to send messages as a email, then you will have to pass the email service as a parameter. If you want to, so in this case we don't have any other services, but imagine if we had a service called text message service as well. Then if you want to send messages as a text message, then you will have to pass that text message service as a parameter. So let's try to use this method that we have created to send the messages. So we'll create a new method called send notification, and we'll accept that message as a string parameter, and we'll utilize the message service that we have injected to this class and use the send message method within this class like this, right? So now we have a dependency. I mean, we have a dependency with the iMessage service because message client don't know how to send messages. So now we have created a dependency and we have injected it through the constructor. So now let's go and implement this. So first of all, let's create an instance using iMessage service with email service, and now let's create an instance of the message client using this email service. As I told you, now we are passing this email service as a parameters to this message client. Message client has this message service which accepts a type of iMessage service. So that is why it is iMessage service. It is created as an iMessage service. So now we can use this client send notification message method to send anything, any message. But please note that this is an email service, right? So let's try to create a text message service as well here in the dependency uh, injection file. We'll just copy this and we'll create it text text message service, right? Since we are implementing iMessage service, we need to implement this send message method as well, right? Sending, let's call it sending text. Now if you want to send a message using text message, what you will have to do is uh, text and this is new text message service. So first of all we'll run we'll create another client. We'll call this email client, and we'll create another client called text client. So for text client, we are passing this text message service, right? So email client sends notifications as well as text clients, right? So let's run this and see. So email client sends message as email, text client sends message as text. So this is how you are going to implement. So basically, as a summary, with this code, you can change the way you send messages by simply giving a different iMessage service when you create the message client. So here we are creating the message client. So when you create a message client, you can differentiate between either email service or text message service. I mean, it depends on the way you want to send the message, right? If you want to send emails, you can give it an email service. If you want to send a text message, you can send a text message service. And if yeah, so you then as I created, you create another service which follows the same rule set of iMessage service. We say that this class follows the same rule set by implementing this interface, right? Rule set means it has to implement this send message method. So that is how we uh, do that. And without changing the message client code, so inside the message client, we haven't touched it. We haven't touched the message client code. We have just created a separate class to send messages as text. We haven't changed anything here, right? So therefore we haven't touched it, and without touching the message client, we have we have done two different things. We have first of all sent a text or a email, I mean message as an email, then we have sent a message as a text. So this is how we are implementing dependency injection. So as a summary, dependency injection promotes loose coupling, and it has decoupled our um, classes from the dependencies. So we have a dependency of um, we have a dependency with message service, but the way we are sending messages is totally controlled by us. We don't have to change the message client implementation. We have just provided how we want to send the messages using constructor parameters, and the class takes care of the rest. Okay, and it has enhanced the testability of the code because this is an interface that we are injecting when we are writing unit tests and all. We don't have to provide the concrete implementations when we want to test the code inside this message client, right? And it can anyway introduce complexity when managing configuration of dependencies, because you can inject more than one here. Like you can put a comma, and a list of parameters is limitless. You can integrate more than one dependency here. So it will someday lead to complexity, and it requires proper understanding of dependency injection patterns and practices to be effectively implemented as well. It's a bit so as you saw, it's bit of a lengthy process. You have to specify services, and interfaces to work with this. So that is how we are implementing dependency injection.